A powerful winter storm is bringing blizzard-like conditions to the upper Midwest and severe weather along the East Coast with heavy rain. We have all the details and more next at the Weather Farm. Welcome to the Weather Farm. As we begin our Wednesday, we are watching a ton of weather hazards across the country. Blizzard warnings from Iowa and Missouri all the way up through Wisconsin. Heavy snow warnings, winter storm warnings, and watches through the upper Great Lakes into the UP of Michigan. The rest of the country to the east of the Mississippi, you're under wind advisories for very strong winds for your Wednesday. And out west, we do have winter storm watches and winter storm advisories for another system that is making its way onshore. Down in the deep south across parts of Texas, we are under red flag warnings, dangerously low relative humidities, and high winds. Fire danger is very high for that part of the country. So let's jump right into it. We have a very powerful 977 millibar low. Folks, this is the equivalent of a Category 1 or a Category 2 hurricane that we typically see down in the Gulf. So for it to be this far north, up near Chicago, Racine, Wisconsin, that is very rare for this time of the year. And it is wrapping a lot of wind and colder air on its backside as it spreads rain throughout the south through Georgia and the Carolinas. That severe weather threat is going to be confined to the coast for our Wednesday. But on the backside, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, to the UP of Michigan, up into Ontario, we are going to see heavy amounts of rain, high winds in excess of 40 miles per hour, producing blizzard-like and near whiteout conditions. And travel is going to be greatly hampered on our Wednesday. Out west, we see a system moving onto the California coast. That might bring some rain to Southern California, places that have been relatively dry over the last several weeks. You're going to have a chance of rain for your Wednesday. In terms of our temperatures, we're going to see that cold air diving down through the Tennessee Valley and the Ohio Valley. Temperatures held down into the 30s and 40s, where you were in the 60s earlier today. And out ahead of that front, we're going to see temperatures surging into the 50s and 60s, all the way up into parts of Massachusetts and into New York. Out west, we see a rebound in our temperatures. As Kansas, you're back in the 50s. Texas, you're a little cooler down in the 60s and 70s. The real 80s are kept in the far southern part of Texas and out across California. A cool day with that rain moving onshore. Temperatures are going to be held in check a little bit in the 50s and 60s. In terms of our snowfall, by the time we get to our Thursday morning, the one model is going to show a widespread area across parts of Wisconsin into the UP of Michigan. Now, this is just the snow from Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. to Thursday at 7 a.m. So just a 24-hour snowfall. So the heaviest snowfall on our Wednesday is going to be across parts of Wisconsin into the UP into Ontario. Widespread 8 to 12 inches is likely in those areas. If we look at the total storm accumulation up until Thursday morning, we're going to see that wide swath from western Ohio, Iowa through southeastern Minnesota into northern Wisconsin into the UP, 8 to 12 inches with isolated higher amounts, 15 to 18 inches in the UP of Michigan. And if we take that on into Ontario, we're going to see pockets of Ontario just across the U.S. border and the UP of Michigan exceeding 40 to 50 centimeters of snow with this particular system. In terms of our rainfall, we're going to have the highest amounts along the Carolinas into Virginia with widespread amounts from 1/2 of an inch to about an inch. As we go up the coast along Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, 1 inch of rain is common for your area. And then out to the west, we're going to see some light snow showers that could accumulate on our Wednesday into our Thursday. After this storm departs, our attention then turns to the next risk of heavy snow. NOAA has already issued a risk of heavy snow for the period March 12th to the 18th. Initially, along the Sierras and the Cascades in those higher mountain range, from the time period of March 12th and 13th, and then up a little bit further north through Oregon and Washington from the 12th through the 18th. They've also highlighted a big area from the Four Corners region through Wyoming and Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota, basically the same area that just received a lot of snow with this last storm. You are under the gun as we get to the middle of next week for yet another risk of heavy snow. We're going to continue to watch this over the next several days, and we will bring you the latest information for this. In terms of our temperatures, as we get into next week, it is going to be above normal temperatures across the eastern 3/4 of the United States. Basically, from the Rocky Mountains all the way to the east, we are going to see above normal temperatures. And then on the west side of the Rockies, California, Nevada, Arizona, you're going to see temperatures that are generally going to average below normal during this time period. But the big story also is going to be the amount of precipitation and the number of storms that are going to continue to traverse from west to east during this time period. With the exception of Oklahoma and Texas, most of the country is going to see above normal precipitation for the time period March 12th through the 18th. So if we get to our Thursday, back into this week, we're going to see another system start to develop in the Rockies. It's going to bring snow to Nevada and Utah and to Idaho for our Thursday. That departing system is making its way into Quebec. It's now a 983 millibar low, still a very powerful system, but not as intense as it once was. And most of the rain has moved off of the eastern coast, but we're going to see heavy snows through Quebec for our Thursday into Friday. In terms of that additional snowfall, by the time we get everything done, we're going to see that wide swath extending from Ontario into Quebec with the heaviest amounts of snow falling across Ontario. A little clipper system to the north is going to bring some heavier snow just to the south and west of Hudson Bay in parts of northern Manitoba. You could see anywhere from 10 to 15 centimeters with this particular system. Out west across parts of southern British Columbia, anywhere from 2 to 6 centimeters is likely. And then out west with that system that's moving through, we're going to see generally snow in those higher elevations. As we move towards our Friday, that low pressure system does move out into the central plains, bringing snow, light amounts, generally 2 to 4 inches, across parts of Nebraska into Iowa. We could see some snow even into Illinois and Indiana, but we're going to see those warming temperatures, as you can see with those red 500 millibar contour heights moving to the north during our Friday. So if we do see any wintry precipitation in the Ohio Valley, it will be early, but the main snow will be out across the central plains. And as we go to our Saturday, that system's going to continue to scoot off to the coast. We're going to watch another low pressure system moving down into Texas. It's going to bring some rain. And across parts of New Mexico, we will see those higher elevation snows. But up to the very northwest into parts of British Columbia, we have an atmospheric river that is making its way onshore. It's going to bring heavy rain along the coastlines, and in those higher elevations, it's going to bring snow. And we're going to continue to see that as we move into our Sunday, with that area in British Columbia continuing to get pounded by heavy amounts of rain and snow. That system that was in Texas has now moved over towards Georgia, southwestern Georgia, and it's bringing a general swath of rain as that system continues to skirt along the Gulf Coast. In our Sunday, we see warmth spreading across the Central Plains, widespread 50s and 60s, 50s stretching up into Alberta. Along the West Coast, again, we have 60s and 70s. The heat does temper just a bit down in southern Texas with that passage of those rain showers on our Saturday into our Sunday. So temperatures are going to be held in check there in the low 60s to near 70. And as we see across the Gulf states, across Mississippi, Alabama, into Georgia, where that rain is present on our Sunday, temperatures are going to be held down in check in the 40s and low 50s. In terms of the precipitation from this weekend storm, we could see about an inch of rain through southern Oklahoma. Elsewhere, generally up to a half of an inch. As we move further east, generally quarter to a half inch across most areas. There will be a swath of heavier rain from central Georgia into southern South Carolina, where you could see up to 1 inch of rain. And as we look towards next week, some schools you may be on spring break, colleges are definitely on your spring break. It is going to be warmer than normal temperatures here. This is our temperature anomaly map. So these are the numbers above in reference to your seasonal norms for this time of the year. But we are going to see the eastern half of the United States above normal temperatures, even down into Florida, a very popular spring break destination. We're going to see temperatures above normal during this next week. So if you are making plans, if you are traveling in the next week, the eastern half of the United States is warm. Out west, however, it's going to be colder than normal for most of next week. But by the time we get to the next weekend, the weekend of the 15th and 16th, we start to see that colder air starting to move into the central plains. We're going to have a little jab of colder air make its way down across southern Great Lakes into the Ohio Valley. But that's something we'll continue to watch over the next several days. We hope you've enjoyed this weather forecast here at the Weather Farm. Check back with us again real soon, and we hope you have a great day.